Greetings, folks. A great man once said, where there is a hole, there is a way. And if not, I'm gonna make one. Welcome to Tainted Grail Maximum Penetration Guide. This build will not only satisfy your extreme desire to play as a Lancer, but also deliver you up to 400 raw bonus damage. However, realistically, everything will be dead before you get to see those numbers. This is not a heavy attack build, a damage over time build, a parry build. Our setup works very simply. We poke and they die. After we get our lance in Act 3, it's GG. We have won the game. Nothing can stop us now. Not even for dwellers. Even the absurd notion of having to pay taxes. If you enjoyed this guide, please leave a like and subscribe for more RPG gaming content. In the description you will find a link to Map Genie to help you with the location of everything in game. There will also be, however, a leveling section with most of the stuff that you need for this build. Okay, let's start with our stats. Strength, 20 points should be enough. 15 points of endurance. This is a minimum requirement in my opinion. You don't want to go low strength while playing warrior anyway. Not just because of health, but the stamina regeneration will be too low. Dexterity, 10 minimum requirement. Spirituality 1. Practicality 3, minimum requirement for Crow. If you're not using Crow, you don't need 3 practicality. 30 perception, points in perception, not just for crit, but because we want critical damage. Balance out that crit. In the end, you would likely, when you upgrade your stuff, you will have to use a potion of origin to balance stuff out. Okay, let's look at our perks, because some people were confused in previous guides. I will quickly assign. Okay, let's start out. Godly Physique, let's max that one immediately. Then Two-Handed. Then we want Mighty Blow for stamina decrease. Then we want Stagger, because our goal to survive is to stagger stuff. 1 point in Weapon of the Great Theft. Since we are leveling up as Two-Handed, we are still gonna use heavy attacks, so Stun is always useful. Dominating Presence 1 point, because stamina otherwise is a point. You can get life steal now or later. And this is everything in strength. We don't get anything in endurance. If you go above level 72, then you can put points for more health. We don't get anything in dexterity. Then we look at practicality. If you are leveling up with a bleed ring or something that applies status effect, yes, for the 30 damages increase. Then we go here. Born in armor, inner strength. We go in perception. When you level up, I had put more points in crit because you are low on crit, but technically this is the final bid, so there is no point. We max that crit damage, critical Aegis, and depending on the level of our crit, then we put points here. Okay, now we are in the final stretch with the last few points. We're gonna invest in Red Death. In Veteran we are melee, so we want at least 1 point in Plague Warden. If you don't know how to unlock Red Death, check the timestamp. Crying Pain for the Lament. We are for the Lament. Long Regret to keep that Lament up. Weeping Success and Lament. If we have extra point. Okay, we are left with the last 12 points. This is perfect. Now, at this point, you should have your entire setup, I hope. Otherwise, you can still play around with relics. Rising Scourge to apply the poison faster, because bleed will always be up. Now we can finally put the last points. Best offense, of course. You should not have weight problems on this build due to our stats. And these are overall my points in the order that you should put them. However, keep this in mind. A lot of it will depend on the gear that you're using. Okay, let's look at our gear. This build is based around Hefty Spear. You will have to use another weapon during leveling, since you can only get this spear by killing every single duelist in every act, and then you have to do a secret instance. In the timestamp you will find the location of most items in this build, don't worry. On relic setup we want to have poison, because this way we can combine the 100% damage if enemy is bleeding with the poison ring that you can get in Act 2. Rest of the gear. For Helm we're gonna use Crow, and for Pants we're gonna use Crow. You get these items by finishing the Morrigan quest line, which starts in Act 1 and finishes in Act 3. If you do not want to use Crow, Lancelot is a good welfare option during leveling, because Lancelot will give you a lot of physical damage and it's super light to use. For gloves and boots we're gonna use the crafted Ravenous. Pieces of Lancelot do not benefit from physical damage increase. However, if you are not planning to upgrade this build very much, use Lancelot. On Cloak, we're gonna use Duelist Knight Cape. The main reason we are using this is because we are a bit tight with stamina regeneration. So if you want to use another cape, you will have to balance your stats. It's not upgraded. If you upgrade Duel Knight, you will get more crit. For Amulet, we're gonna use Critical Chance. For rings, Poison, mandatory on this setup, but only if you have the Poison relics. You get one in Act 1, and then you get the other one in Act 2 from the vendor in the Abyss. For other ring, you can use what you want. You can use a critical ring, you can use an attack speed ring, it doesn't matter too much. Remember, if you're not planning upgrades, just use Lancelot. That is my advice. Okay, what is the possible best start for this build? In the tutorial, get the HP statuette and the HP ring. Get the athlete ring and the physical damage amulet before leaving the island. You have two options here. One, you can kill Asmongold using blood transfusion. However, if you decide to not kill Asmongold, you will get a HP statuette. Killing Asmongold will give you faster, a huge XP bonus before you start out. So if you are in veteran, I would advise you to kill him. It will make the setup faster. On any of my build, I go straight up for killing him all the time. Okay, we are fresh off the shore. Let's set up our point. We are gonna go for strength to endurance. And if you remember what I said earlier, with our point allocation, we're gonna start this way. Let's ignore everything. You can kill a mob here, I already did this, and there is gonna be a recipe you can loot, and one of the tags for the keeper you can loot there. From this guy here, we want to buy 3 Deer's Antler, which I already did. Also, keep in mind this location. This is where you get your Lancelot set after you complete the main story in this area. There is some iron, pick it up. It's gonna be useful in most situations anyway. Okay. Perfect. This is the first shrine we need to do. There are gonna be 2 more locations to do before the end of the act. This one is the least important of the 3, however. But it's still bonus speed. Ignore everything, they're not a threat. Perfect. This one is for the Shady Merchant quest. This is the first duelist. You have 2 options. Either you kill him with blood transfusion, or you can try later. We're gonna do it later, however, so that I can show people that don't want to use magic. Get this one. Okay, my advice is now ignore the main quest. Because we're starting at level 5, we're stronger. So we can just go and get a knight set, which we will not be able to use right now, but it will spare us the time to craft it. Shrine of the Wolf is optional, it will give you sneak damage. If you don't want it, you can skip this one.
Back to your hovel, coward! You'll fall to my sword. You'll fall to my sword.
Yeah, I took more hits than I should, but that's just because I'm rushing. Perfect. The only item that you will miss is the chest. The big bonk is a superior weapon. However, the requirements are pretty high, so we need to be patient. Okay, perfect. And here is the Doombringer. Doombringer is more single target damage than Big Bonk, just because once we stagger a lot, that is literally double damage, like that's super high. However, Big Bonk is AoE, and it also hits very hard. These are some of the best melee weapons you can get early on. There are others, of course, but these are the ones that I like. So as we go down to the village, there is gonna be an NPC. He will ask us to deliver medicine to his father, but his father is an alcoholic, so we will need to consume a lot of alcohol to do this quest. This should not be a problem if you went around and looted stuff. Otherwise, yeah, just go around and loot. So you want to ask him about the tunnels. And then you need to ask permission to go to the crypt. So in case you didn't pay attention or you didn't read, the quest is simple. We need to kill everything here and recover the tag. So if you kill enemies and you don't recover the tag, then you'll be like, oh my god, I need to hunt for the stupid things now. The mob you need to kill are called keepers. However, you need to kill everything. See? Here's the thing. Luckily, you can see all the mobs on the radar. Also, getting hit on a melee build is not a problem, because we still build up armor. Sorta. Or at least that's the cope that I like to think about why I'm not properly dodging attacks. Don't bother looting all the armor, because they're so heavy. Yeah, it's almost like that if you are careful when you attack, you don't lose health. That's another keeper. Okay, these monsters are extremely annoying to deal with as melee. So, you need to dodge. Because otherwise they will shred you. Also, this is the material we need for the second Corrupted Merchant quest. This is a potion of origin, you should get it. Probably without wasting as many lockpick that I did. And this should be the last keeper. However, be careful because these creatures are still here. Okay, this is gonna be an IQ test. You will open your journal. If you missed a tag, you'll be very sad. Perfect. Never run out of stamina. Amazing. And level 8. And we need some of these materials for the shrine in Act 2. So that's good. Ring of Protection, get it. 3 gold. Alright. Come on. Jesus. Are you for real? Okay. Perfect. That's the item we want. Which is even better than the Knight's Breastplate. The only problem is gonna be the 8 Endurance Spinebreaker. Which, by the way, it's an upgrade that we can use. Okay, we are at the location that we need to go. The key, the cage is here.
Help!
I will not do the full quest because it will deliver spoilers. And personally, if this is the first time you're playing this game, trust me, you don't want spoilers. So, just to explain to you, quest is spread your wings. You will come here, you will meet a woman. Just do what the woman tells you and follow the quest line through all the acts and you will be fine. To get the Lancelot set, you need to first complete all the main story of the first zone and then come to the crypt of Sir Lancelot. For spoiler and story reason, I will not show any dialogue. If you're playing in veteran, just keep in mind that the mobs will hit you hard. So come prepared. Usually it would be best if you attempt this above level 20. My experience, just because you don't want to chug an insane amount of potions. Before you finish Act 1, do the Shrine of the Bear. 5% physical damage extra. Before you leave the zone and before you take the decision regarding the barbarians, if you side with Galahad, I don't want to give spoiler, but buy the Crushed Pilgrim Bone for 1 bonus attribute. Also, if you want to play with a spear instead of the weapon that I used, the good one for two-handed will be Winged Spear. The problem, however, is gonna be that the mana requirement to increase your physical damage is really not that high sustainable. Also, it will require you to kill a mini-boss in the Blood Lake, which most likely, if you're playing Warrior, you cannot cheese these immediately like a mage can. That can be a bit challenging if you're an under-geared in Veteran. Then, of course, we have the Spear of the Ancient Hero, which can be combined for a dual-wield spear build for bleed with the weapon that you get during the Morrigan quest. And then you can go dual spear while leveling. That is an option if you don't want to play as two-handed. You can even go one spear and shield if you want. However, in that case, you will want a different skill tree than the one that I provided. The shrines in Act 2 are super important. The most important one, in my opinion, is the Croc-Maw. 20% critical. You can find that one here. And also, you will want to come here for another reason that we'll show you in a second. Then you want to do the Bugane, which is 3% crit. And the Deer, which is 10 maximum stamina. Now, in Act 2, I mainly played with a spear, and it's called the Surge Stopper. You get this by doing the entire Abyss. However, Act 2 has a lot of two-handed weapons that are good, and some of the ones that you got in Act 1 are still good in Act 2. Surge Stopper, however, is a good spear. Alternative to Surge Stopper will be Ram of Nuada. It's hidden when you do the Lover's Olive. Ice Tongue Spear, you get this by doing the Morrigan questline. There are also gonna be important items you should get in Act 2. One is a Crushed Pilgrim Bone that you can buy from Field. Another one is gonna be a Merrin statue, a statue that you can use in the Red Dead Fortress. You do that as well. There is gonna be a merchant called Bonksy that will sell you this item, the Ashes, which will be 1 free skill point. This item will cost you quite a bit of gold, so I hope that you didn't spend it all. However, by the time you are in Act 3, you should get all this item. It's free stuff. Okay, once you get into Act 3, there are gonna be 3 shrines here. The first one is gonna be the Croc-Maw. This time it will give you 50 encumbrance. You should do this absolutely. Shrine of the Bear will give you some HP. Get it. And then there is gonna be a Shrine of the Deer, which I think is quite important because it will give you 10 stamina regeneration. Similar situation in Act 3, there is a Crushed Pilgrim Bone. This time you can get this one for free just by talking with the guy. If you are confused, don't be. For some reason, they will kick you out of the instance. All you need to do is go back in. You can find the Ravenous set for sale here. And to be able to craft the Stonewarden Talisman, you will need to proceed with one of the quests for the Blacksmith Guild. Go inside, reach the bottom, and save the boy for the quest. Okay, I don't want to get into many spoilers because the quest for the Red Death is quite important story-wise. It's a side quest you can do in Act 2, not before. I sped up the footage because otherwise this would be 2 minutes of running. You can literally run through, skip everything, and then you can jump off the elevator. You don't need to wait for the elevator. However, this will only work if you have the King's Soul perk that will activate after you receive lethal damage. You can use this trick to avoid dying because of fall damage. So you can get the poison ring in the swamp crypt in Act 2. A quest will already send you here if you're doing the side quest for the hospital. However, you can come here early. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and I cannot stress how much important it is for me. If you have questions, doubt, or your opinion, let me know in the comments. Have fun playing Tainted Grail. We get a good RPG once in a blue moon, so I'm kinda happy that we finally have a good game to play. And I will see you again in the next video.